Can you try again?
Okay, excuse me. All right. So Devadhamma Jātaka is a story of a young man whose wife died. He became widowed, and as he was sad and alone, but rich, he decided to become a monk. But he did not really understand the way how monks operate or how the monk's life is supposed to look like. So he surrounded himself with riches, even as a monk. So he kept medicine around himself. The image here shows us oil rice, but probably not exactly that. Monks are not really allowed to have in their room the medicine, such as honey, ghee, butter, oil, sugar, for longer than 7 days. If it is the real food, monks actually can have the real food like rice in their room, but only during the morning. So let's say they go for alms round, they receive food at the alms round, some rice, curry, they may receive some vegetables, maybe fruit, meat or fish as well. And then they go back to their room and they can actually have it in their room, but only until midday of the same day. Okay, so by midday, they need to discard it. Theoretically, they could have it after midday, but then they cannot eat it at all. Okay, from midday onwards, they're not allowed to eat it at all. They have to discard it. Okay, so it's possible that this monk was doing that. This monk was famously keeping a lot of robes in his room. I think you have seen a lot of great Seattles keeping a lot and lot of robes in their room. So this would be an interesting point for discussion. Is it okay for a monk to possess many robes in their room? And many people are thinking, so is that actually okay if this monk actually has like 100, 200, 500, 1000 sets of robes in their room? It's true that when I was a monk, I was having only 3 robes, but I did not actually see anything wrong with other monks who would be keeping 200, 500, 1000 sets of robes in their room. Why? Because many of these monks actually do not touch those robes. They keep them there to donate them elsewhere. So because we don't know what is the monk going to do with these robes, we cannot judge the monk for that. And it's actually okay for the monk to have those robes in his room. The main point here is that the monk doesn't wear them. In the story, however, the monk keeps them as his own possession, willing to wear the robes. Okay, so then as other monks found out that this monk has a lot of robes in his room, a lot of things, the picture shows us a lot of bowls. Well, so then the monks, they came up to the Buddha, they dragged this monk to the Buddha, and the Buddha found out that this monk is Bahubandika. Bahubandika is a very important word in the monastic world. It means a monk having a lot of stuff. Okay, it comes from 2 Jātakas in the Pali scriptures, this term. So monks definitely should be scared of becoming Bahubandikas. Okay, that's Bahubandikas. Because when a monk is Bahubandika, Bhanda is stuff, Bahu is a lot. So when a monk is a Bahubandika, then that monk is ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Isn't that funny? Like you were a layperson, you could have anything. You could get a job and have a palace, become a king. And here you are a monk. Why are you a monk and living like a king? If you can be a layperson and live like a king. Okay, monkhood is for something else than for becoming a king, having a palace, cars, and things like that. So many monks forget about that, and that's why being a Bahubhandika is ridiculous. It is laughable. So monks definitely should not be keeping a lot of stuff. For keeping a lot of stuff, you become a layperson. Okay, so this monk was keeping a lot of stuff. He was still a monk, so the Buddha suggested that this is not a good idea. And the monk was a little frustrated and he didn't know what to do, so he threw away his robe. And as he threw away his robe and he stayed only in his underwear, be careful, monks wear a different underwear than lay people. So as he was staying only in his loincloth, or we could say underrobe, uh, the the Buddha reminded him that he needs to be careful about shamelessness. In his past life, he was a Rakshasa, which means ogre in Burmese. You know them as Blue, and Blue or Rakshasa or Yakka in Pali. Who was later this monk, that Rakshasa actually was looking for the ultimate divine truth or the divine quality. What is the divine quality? And he believed that the divine quality is shamelessness. So this monk in his past life, he believed that shamelessness is a divine quality of everybody. And now here you go, he's a monk and he is shame. Shame is the divine quality, not shamelessness. And now here the monk is shameless. So that doesn't go in lines with his belief in a past life. So the Buddha is basically reminding the monk, like in your past life, you had this awesome intention and inclination towards shamelessness, towards shame, and here you are inclined towards shamelessness. So shamelessness, shame, we will be talking about that in detail. All right. So the Buddha then rebuked the monk, and the monk here, the picture is implying that he was an ogre in a past life, but he forgot his inclination towards shame, and he took off his robe. Monks actually should be always wearing a robe on themselves. When they're novices, the robe basically is the mark of their novicehood. Novices in Burmese, you know them as kuyen. And novices, it is believed traditionally, if they take off their underrobe, they are no more novices. They become layperson. By removing their robe, when they're naked, they become novices. Now, there is also a discussion about that, especially among Westerners. Many people from Western countries, they wonder if there also should be some intention to become a layperson, or whether just removing the robes and being naked suddenly makes the person a layperson. So there definitely is a discussion about that. I personally think that the intention needs to be there, but of course, I'll leave it up to everybody, whatever you want to think. So for novices, if they don't want to have some unnecessary troubles, they need to keep on their body at least one piece of robe, underrobe, upper robe. Some at least keep a belt on themselves. Not sure if that one is valid for some people, because again, this is a traditional belief, not really something, not really a role or decision by the Buddha himself. It's coming from the commentaries, so from the traditional beliefs of the monks. But it's always good for novices to keep at least one piece of rope on themselves, so there is no misunderstanding. As for higher ordained monks are fully allowed to actually be completely naked. Nobody really cares if they are in their private chamber or in a privacy. There was a case when monks were completely naked and they took shower under the rain in the open. And then Lady Visakha went around and she saw them all naked. She was wondering, are these actually Buddhist monks or are they Jains? Are they following a different religion? So then she realized, they're actually Buddhist monks, but they look like Jains because Jains go around naked. So she told it to the Buddha. The Buddha did not actually prohibit monks from being naked. The Buddha allowed monks to wear a bathing cloth when they are taking the shower. So the Buddha did not actually make a prohibition. The Buddha made a permission for the monks to have a bathing cloth if they have it, and then take shower under the rain in that bathing cloth instead of being naked. But if they're naked, they're not really breaking any rule at all. So monks, when they go, however, in the monastery, it is expected from them that they have, according to the commentaries, if they are going around, they're outside their room, outside the bathroom, they're supposed to have at least one shoulder fully clothed, fully dressed. So you will commonly see monks who have the two shoulders only leisurely, covered, or one shoulder very leisurely covered. But actually, monks have to have covered all of their arm, at least the upper arm. Okay, so if a monk leaves their room, at least their upper arm actually should be covered. You'll see probably 99% monks do not follow this recommendation. It's again coming from the commentaries. So of course, monks will do the way they find most suitable for them. But the commentaries actually do suggest that monks, whenever they're out of their room, not out of the monastery, no, out of their room within the monastery, they need to have at least one arm fully covered. Okay? When they are inside their room, when they're alone, or in their bathroom, or potentially in an uninhabited area where nobody is looking at them, and they're taking a shower under the rain, they might be naked. Okay, so now we are looking at the past life of the monk, in which the monk was an ogre. So the story starts with a king who has two children. His wife dies, so he takes another wife. The wife bears another child. So now the king is having three children. Two children from the first wife, one child from the second wife. The child who is the oldest is our Buddha-to-be, Prince Manisasa. His younger brother is Prince Chanda, which means moon. So these are the two children from the first marriage. And then he has the son called Prince Surya, the sun. And because he's so happy about his third child, he tells his wife, the queen, "Dear queen, if you want anything, tell me." In English, we call that a boon. B-O-O-N, a boon, basically a promise. And his wife says, "Okay, you know what? Wait for me. I'll tell you later." When the child becomes a little older, let's say, enough old to make his own decisions, and probably to also make sure that he survived, the childhood, because surviving childhood in the Buddha's time, moreover, in these super ancient times, before the Buddha's time, at that time, that was not sure. You would be usually dead by your 40 years old, by your age of 40. Okay? In the Buddha's time, people would usually not live longer than 40s. You may have heard that the Buddha lived until the age of 80, but that was relatively rare. Yes, in scriptures, we read some people lived until 120, 140, 160. That's the record, 160. But most people would die when they were in their 40s. Okay, in their 40s. Nowadays, most people die when they're in their 60s, 70s. Okay, but that, of course, doesn't change the maximum age. So when the Buddha says that the maximum age will decrease or increase, we are talking here about the maximum age, not about the average age. So the average age has definitely increased since the Buddha's time. Okay, so that's what we are seeing. That's what the statistics and history says. We cannot argue with that much. And so it was awesome that the little child, Prince Surya, was able to get through his childhood without dying. And that was the moment when the queen told her king, you know what? You gave me a boon. You promised me that I can tell you if I want something, and I want my child to become the king of this kingdom. The king didn't like that, but when kings give a boon, there's not much way out of that. So the king decided that he will make peace. He wants peace for himself, not necessarily fulfill his wish. So he asked his two children, the Prince Manisasa and Prince Chanda, from his first marriage, to go away from the kingdom and hide. That way, his second wife will not see them, she will not try to kill them, and she will believe that the king will actually allow the third child to become the king. And the two princes, they left, but because Prince Surya was their good friend, so that was Prince Manisasa and Prince Chanda who left. Prince Surya joined them anyway, so all of the three left. So the idea of the queen was not going very well, and the solution of the king was actually going very well. So all of the three left, so the king and the queen, they're alone. And as they left, they came up to a deep forest, and they were thirsty, and they were dirty and sweaty and tired, and they needed to refresh themselves. So they came up close to somewhere, and they sent Prince Surya first to go to the pond that is probably nearby and bring them some water. But in the water, there's the ogre, and the ogre requires that anyone who comes to his pond must be able to answer what is the divine quality. What is the divine quality of someone? If you don't know what is a divine quality, then that's exactly the problem, because the Prince Surya also didn't know what is a divine quality. I don't know. But he made up something, and that's where the ogre was allowed to eat him up, to devour him. The ogre previously received this pond from the king. I think that's the king of ogres. From the king of ogres, Vessavana. The god Vessavana gave this pond to the ogre. And he said, as long as the people who enter don't know what is a divine quality, then you can devour them. You can eat them up. And Prince Surya didn't know. And the ogre, for whatever reason, didn't eat him right away. And he kept him for later, hard to tell. So as Prince Surya was not coming back, the two princes, they were thinking maybe something's happening in the pond. So Prince Chanda, the younger brother of the Bodhisattva, of the Buddha to be, went to the pond. And at the pond, again, he was asked, what is the divine quality? And he didn't know either. So again, if you have no clue, what am I talking about? Then that's right. That's exactly what you're supposed to not know. So he also didn't know. What is a divine quality? I don't know. And because he didn't know, because he said some nonsense, then the ogre also took him down into the pond. So now we have the Buddha to be alone. And here we have the two answers. So Surya answered that divine quality is the sun and moon. And then Chanda suggested that it is the four directions, north, south, east, west. And that was the wrong answer. So then the demon, the Yaka, Rakshasa, he was aware that the Buddha to be is close by. So he went up to him and he's like, would you like to come to the pond as well? So that I can ask you a question which you probably cannot answer, and then I will eat you up, I'll devour you. But the Bodhisattva already understood that something's wrong, and he didn't go to the pond. But then, by clever questioning, asking the ogre, so did you actually catch my two brothers? Now notice here that the gods, already starting from ogres and dragons, nagas, they do not tell lies. Okay, gods do not tell lies. They may deceive you, but they don't tell lies. They may tell you something that they're not sure about, pretending that they're sure about it, but they don't tell a direct lie. They will not say, I saw something when they didn't see it, and so on. So the ogre here also was truthful, and he said, yeah, that's true. I've got your two brothers. And so the Bodhisattva is asking, why did you take these two brothers? And the ogre says, well, they didn't answer my question right. And what is the question? The question is, what is a divine quality? Devadhamma. So the Bodhisattva, as he likes to do in many of his lives, he doesn't like to teach Dhamma right away. Okay, he wants to make sure that those who listen to Dhamma, that they are well clothed, that they are ready for that. And notice that here the Bodhisattva is a lay person. The Bodhisattva in the story is what? Lay person. That means he is not what? He is not a monk. He is not a monk. He is a lay person. And as a lay person, he is teaching Dhamma. And here we go. How does he teach Dhamma? Only when the others show respect towards Dhamma. So be careful about that. Even as a layperson, you're not teaching Dhamma just by the way. You are teaching Dhamma when the people are ready for that, when they show respect towards the Dhamma. This is hard even for monks because they have so much compassion. They want to teach Dhamma to anyone, anytime. But unfortunately, that causes problems. Okay, it causes problems because the people then do not have respect towards Dhamma. So we need to be inspired by the Buddha to be, by the Bodhisattva, and we should teach Dhamma only to those who clearly show respect towards Dhamma. We need to teach it at the time, specially dedicated to Dhamma. Okay, so he says to the ogre, you know what? I will teach you Dhamma, but I need to be clean. I need to feel fresh. So after you prepare a bath for me, after you apply perfumes on me, after you feed me with some good food, then as you're sitting down and I'm sitting up, I will share with you the Dhamma. And he's not going to give a 1 hour Dhamma talk. He's going to tell him one sentence. He's going to tell him one sentence. He's not going to teach 1 hour Dhamma talk, not at all. He's going to tell him one single sentence, and he needs to be fed for that, perfumed for that, bathed for that, and the listener needs to show their utmost respect. Okay, so here we have the wrong answers. Let me see. Here you have the Bodhisattva looking for his brothers, finding the Jātaka, come bathe, and there we go. Devadhamma. Those endowed with hiri and ottappa, established and bright qualities, are called Devadhamma, divine by nature or having divine quality. So the Buddha to be, after being bathed, perfumed, fed very well, is teaching one sentence of Dhamma. And that is that divine quality here is being endowed with hiri and ottappa. We'll be talking about hiri and ottappa shortly. Okay, there we go. So, self-respecting moral shame. Hiri is an internal sense of shame or conscience triggered by the thought of doing evil, rooted in self-respect. And this rooted in self-respect, that's the key to understand what is hiri. So in hiri, we are afraid that our dignity may be reduced if we do something wrong. Okay? So for example, if you tell a lie, then if you are coming from a Brahmin family or from a rich family or from a family of doctors and engineers or clever people or generous people or Buddhist people, that's more than enough. Then if you tell a lie, you lose your dignity. People will not have respect towards you as a Buddhist, somebody from a doctor's family, somebody from engineer's family, somebody from a royal family or whatever you believe or you really are from. Maturity. If you tell a lie, people will think, oh, you are not mature. You are a kid. You act like a kid. Have anyone told it to you before? You act like a kid because it's expected from kids that they don't understand that telling a lie is a very pernicious idea. Telling a lie. What does it cause? It causes losing trust. If you tell lies, people will not trust you. And therefore, how can you ever do something in your life if nobody trusts you? So we want to tell truth so that everybody trusts us always. Because when everybody trusts you always, then if you have a trouble, people are willing to help you. If you need a job, they will give you a job. If you need support, they will support you. So having trust is super useful in life. And therefore, if you tell a lie, you're like a kid because you didn't realize why telling truth is important. Even kids should not tell lies, let alone adults. Courage, strength. So let's say that you tell a lie or that you steal. How will people lose respect towards you as somebody who's strong? Because they will feel like, what a weak person who is resorting to solutions which do not help, to solutions which are not helpful. At least in the long run, they are not helpful. Telling lies shows a weakness. You're not enough strong to tell the truth and still get what you want. Wisdom brought learning. If you tell lie, you don't know how to tell a truth and also get what you want. So then when you tell a lie, it's clear that you don't have wisdom, you don't have courage, you don't have good birth, and or you're not truthful, loyal to your good birth, at least as a Buddhist, and you're not mature. You see? So realizing this, you tell only truth. And that is called hiri. When you are so careful about your dignity that you follow the 5 precepts everywhere, anytime, at any condition, without any exception ever. So that is called hiri. Now let's look at ottappa. So ottappa is a little different. In ottappa, we follow the 5 precepts because we worry that we could be punished if we break them. Okay? Ottappa is never enough. Many people worry that they would go to prison or that they would lose their job or that maybe other people will blame them. So that is called ottappa. So if you follow only ottappa, and many people follow only ottappa, so they worry about punishment. So the logic, of course, is if nobody finds out, then I can do whatever I want. Okay? Nobody finds out, then I can do what I want. Nobody finds out, well, then I can steal, kill, I can tell lies, I can commit adultery. That's what we hear a lot in certain Buddhist countries. Why? Why is sexual misconduct? Why is adultery wrong? If the wife doesn't find out, then I'm fine, am I not? Okay, that's what literally some people in certain Buddhist countries believe. They're like, well, what's the problem? I'll just have here sex with another person, not with my wife. And then if my wife doesn't find out, then there's no problem. How could that be breaking a rule? How would I go to hell for that? You see? So ottappa is not enough. Okay? If the person is following both ottappa and hiri, if they also are afraid about their dignity, then they will not be able to say that actually adultery is fine. Because as soon as they commit adultery, their loyalty to their birth, that means being a Buddhist. In this example, of course, I am not born Buddhist, and still I follow the 5 precepts, by the way. So their birth, they're being mature, they're being strong, they're being wise. That's gone because they broke the 5 precepts. No more noble lineage, no more mature, no more strong, no more wise. So that's where the hiri is so important, the dignity. But then, of course, the moral concern, the worry about punishment is very important here as well. So that helps us better understand, okay, if I do something wrong, I may be punished for that. So there are 4 ways how we could be punished for doing bad things. Namely, I could then blame myself, others could blame me, I could be punished by the law, or I could be punished by karma. Okay? So then we have the story then continues. The Buddha to be answers the right answer to the yakka, to the rakshasa, and as a reward, he gets back his both of his brothers. And here the interesting thing is that unlike in the modern movies or films or stories, he doesn't take a sword and slay the demon. Actually, the opposite. He takes the demon back to the kingdom after his father dies. When the king dies, because that was the decision, right? He's following his father's wish. Father said, "After I die, you come back." So the king died, and then he came back. Super easy. The interesting notion there, however, is that he comes back to the kingdom, or he finds out that his king is that his father is has passed away from the stars. Somehow he looks into the stars and he knows astrology. In the Buddha's time, many people actually knew astrology. We know that Venerable Sariputta was very well versed in astrology, by the way, but not necessarily in predicting the future, but more in understanding where the stars are and how are they grouped, at which time. So the Buddha to be here sees from the stars that the king has passed away, and he goes back home together with his two brothers and who? And the ogre. The ogre follows with them, and they make a home for the ogre in the palace. And people then bring offerings to the ogre. I'm wondering whether a worship of certain ogres today was previously a worship of a real ogre. And then when the ogre dies, the people are like, you know what, he died, but still we will continue worshiping him. Maybe he'll continue supporting us and being kind to us. By worshiping an ogre, by offering things to ogre, what do you get? Safety, because the ogre doesn't eat you up. He will not devour you. So that's exactly the main reason. But of course, the ogre can also protect you, because if then you die, then the ogre doesn't get that easy income of food. Okay, so here we have the identification. The Prince Mahesasa was the Buddha to be. Prince Chanda was Venerable Sariputta to be. Prince Surya, that was from the second marriage of the king. That was Venerable Ananda to be. And the demon was the greedy monk. So here we have a little note on the fact that some monks actually they ordain with a lot of possessions, but a very important part of being a monk is not having things. That means you do not worry about the things. Instead, you worry about your mind. Is the mind lustful? Is it angry? Is it drowsy? I mean, is it lazy? Is it restless? So you're supposed to worry about your mind, not about your things. And as you worry about your mind, you worry about it in a very practical way, just like lay people should worry about their stuff. We don't really spend our time being restless whether we lose our stuff, but we should spend our time doing good things, taking more education, having good friends, doing good things for each other. And that way we worry about our things. In other words, we protect them. The monk also needs to protect their mind by meditation, by being satisfied with little, by living together with our monks, something that I could not get when I was a monk. So that's why I'm a layperson. So the monk ideally lives with other monks, and he gets friends who encourage him, who inspire him, who are happy with him, and so on. So that's very important. So instead of having stuff, the monk has mindfulness and special environment that supports the mindfulness. Okay, so here we have a Hiri. We already went through that. We actually already covered that entirely. So I'll leave it here for everyone who wants to read it later. And we'll be now looking within the next 3 minutes at what the sub-commentaries say. The sub-commentaries tell us some additional information. What I just now told you is in the commentary. Sub-commentaries tell us some interesting additional details. So at one point, because we are talking here about Devadhamma, divine qualities, we happen to talk about the world as well. The world in Buddhism consists of 31 planes or 31 spheres. You can think of them as like levels, 31 levels, but be careful, the highest 4 levels have no placement. They are not located. So the word planes, levels, and so on is not accurate for all of them. Okay, the highest 4 levels have no world because they're only mind, they're only mental, they're immaterial, no matter there. So no location, no placement as well. So it's not really a plane. But the others, the other 27, do actually have their own location. So we have here some four kinds of living beings under that are lower than the human world. And we learn here that there are beings that suffer, the so-called Vinipatika. Where is it? That's the last slide. Vinipatika, here it is. Vinipatika is an interesting Pali word, which can also mean ghosts who suffer, but it also can mean ogres. And actually, it is possible for ogres to become enlightened. So if you ever read about a Yaka or a Rakshasa who becomes enlightened, that is actually okay. Rakshasas can become enlightened. On the other hand, and asuras, deva asuras, we have two kinds of asuras, demons, deva asuras and peta asuras. Deva asuras, they are divine. They're actually a little bit above human. They previously lived in the kingdom of 33, in the second level of heaven. But then the king Sakka came there and he kicked them out. So that's why they're supposed to live at the foot of the mountain Meru or Sineru. The mountain has two names, Meru or Sineru. It literally means gold, golden mountain. And but it's not apparent. I never saw anyone painting it as golden, by the way. So this mountain, this Sineru mountain, is supposed to have Deva Asuras, that means God Asuras, at its foot. But then we have Peta Asuras, those are ghost Asuras, and these ghost Asuras, commonly known as the Lokantarika Niraya beings in the hell between the worlds, but also in this particular Jātaka, we learn of them as Kalakanchika Petas. Kalakanchika, interestingly, means that they have black ears. I think it's not translated that way here. So definitely they are ghosts. So when somebody says Asura, when somebody talks about Asuras, your first reaction should be, I have no clue what you talk about. Because when you say Asura, you don't know. Is it Deva Asuras or Peta Asuras? And they're totally different. But Deva Asuras should be able to become enlightened, just like Yakas. Whereas Peta Asuras, the ghosts, they cannot become enlightened, not at all. No enlightenment for ghosts, for animals, and for beings in hell. Never. Okay, so that way we can understand the difference. And then we have an interesting thing about the Brahmas. So we, in the sub-commentary, we learned that there are so-called seven stations, seven stations of consciousness, and we have there also two kinds of additional living beings. And I would like to take a note about that. I know I'm going over time, but I believe this is an interesting thing. So in the cosmology, the science of the cosmos or of the world, in Buddhism, we learned there are 31 worlds. And we often categorize these 31 worlds into 9. Okay, so we don't talk about 31 anymore, we talk about 9, but all the 31 should be there within the 9 categories. And these 9 categories are pretty complicated. So get ready for something super hard. So we have here stations of consciousness. The first one called different bodies, different perceptions. Okay, and here different bodies, different perceptions. Different bodies is about appearance, and different perceptions is usually the way how they are born or the reason why they are born there. Different bodies, that means some are tall, some are short, super easy. Some are tall, some are short, some are fat, some are thin, some are normal, or other way, whatever you call it. Some are old, some are young, and so on. So they have different appearance. Okay, that's called different bodies. Different perceptions means that some in their past life, they were practicing greed, hatred, and ignorance. Some were practicing greed and hatred, but they were generous. They were giving. Or some were practicing greed and ignorance and greed, but they were angry. They were engaging in a lot of anger, in hate. And some were practicing in non-greed, that's generosity, non-hatred, loving kindness. And they were also developing wisdom. So you see different people were doing something else in their past life, and therefore they were born with different conditions. So because people, likewise animals, likewise beings in the hell, likewise ghosts, likewise gods in the six heavens, all of them have different bodies and they were born with different conditions. They are in the category 1, different bodies, different perceptions. That's the category 1. Okay, so in the category 1, we have almost all beings from the hell all the way until the highest heaven, until the sixth heaven. What we don't have there are the Brahmas and ogres. Be careful about that. No Brahmas, no ogres, because they're different. We have 20 worlds of Brahmas. And in the first 3 worlds of the Brahmas, the world where you get, if you achieve the first deep level of jhana, of concentration in this life, next life, you can be born as a Brahma in the first jhana world. Let's simplify it and call it jhana world. So those are, in detail, the Brahma worlds 1, 2, 3. But let's call it the first jhana world. So the Brahmas in the first jhana world, they actually have different bodies. There are still some big Brahmas and small Brahmas in the first jhana world, but they are all born there through the first jhana because they achieved the first level of concentration in their past life, and that's how they got to this world. So they all have one kind of mind that's through the first jhana, but they have different bodies. You have their big Brahmas, small Brahmas, middle-sized Brahmas. Okay, then we have station 3. That's where we have same bodies, but different perception. Okay. In second jhana Brahma world, that is the Brahma world 4, 5, 6. In the Brahma world 4, 5, 6, or the Brahma world where you get if you achieve the second level of deep concentration in your past life. That is the world where you get either through achieving the second jhana, where you do not apply the mind to the object anymore. For example, you meditate on breath, but you're so familiar with it that you do not apply the mind to it anymore. But you still need to distinguish the object, the breath, from other meditation objects or from other disturbances. Or you do not even distinguish your object anymore because it's just so familiar to you. So that's a higher level of second jhana. So this way we have 2 kinds of second jhana. And therefore, the person who achieved this second jhana could be either of the type that they still need to distinguish the object from others, from the other object, or they are completely familiar with their object, so they do not have to distinguish it from any disturbances or other things anymore. So that's why you have 2 different kinds of second jhana, and therefore when you die and you are born in the second jhana world, in the Brahma world 4, 5, 6, level 4 or level 5 or level 6, at that time, you will see that there are therefore 2 different kinds of Brahmas in the level 4, 5, 6 of Brahma world. And that's why this second jhana Brahma world is in the station called same bodies, different perception. So there are the 2 different perceptions, the 2 different second jhana, but all of the Brahmas have the same size. They all look the same way. Okay? You don't have any more big Brahmas, small Brahmas, middle Brahmas. In the second jhana world, all the Brahmas look the same way. Okay, so those were stations. Here we have some of the stations. So we're talking about station 1, diverse form and mind. Station 2, that's for the first jhana world. Station 3, where all of the Brahmas have the same body, but they achieve the different kind of second jhana. And then from station 4, then for station 4, all of the Brahmas, except special exceptions, and I'll explain, from the world 7 and up, they all have the same body and same perception. Okay, they all have the same jhana, same body. They look the same in each of the jhana worlds. But then we have the highest 4 worlds where you have no form, no place, no location. It's just mind. 5, 6. Okay, 5, 6, 7. That's right. So that is the world of infinity of space, world of infinity of consciousness, and world of nothingness. So in these 3 worlds, the living beings are just mind. They have no bodies, no body, no skin, no bones, no body at all. By the way, Brahmas also don't have any skin or bones. We learned that their bodies are made of one single thing, one single matter. Okay, so these are the stations 5, 6, 7, the world of infinity of space, infinity of consciousness, and the world of nothingness. And then we have additional 2 worlds, which are not mentioned in here, and that is the world of the ogres, potentially the Devasuras, the divine asuras as well, who can achieve enlightenment, and they are the same body. Oh, let me see. There was, so they must be in one of the other stations. Let me see. Because they all have the Jātaka, they all practice the same practice, namely non-greed, non-hatred, non-ignorance. But I'm now not seeing anymore in which station they are. So then we have 2 more worlds which are not included in these stations because the beings are a little different there. So the world, the kind of beings number 8 is the beings who have no mind. So that's just body. That's in the 4th jhana world. It's a kind of Brahmas. And then we have the very highest world of all, the 31st world, and that is the world of neither perception nor non-perception. So now I'll summarize in very brief. The first station are humans, gods, they are the beings in hell, animals, ghosts. And then the second station, they're the Brahmas of the first jhana world. The third station are the Brahmas of the second jhana world. They look the same, but they achieve different kind of jhana, but still they're in the second jhana world. Then the 4th station of consciousness, that is all of the Brahmas from the 7th Brahma world and up. Then we have the infinity of consciousness, infinity of space, infinity of consciousness, and nothingness. This way we have covered the 7 stations of consciousness. And then we have the 2 additional kinds of living beings. What are they? The beings who are just bodies without mind, the non-percipient beings in the 4th Brahma world. And finally, we have the very highest world of all, the 31st world, the world of neither perception nor non-perception. So this way we have 9 kinds of living beings within the 31 worlds. And that's all what I wanted to share with you. I am definitely beyond my time, but I would like to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, at least for the next 10 minutes. Of course, if any one of you wants to leave, I promised 1 hour. 1 hour finishes after 2 minutes, totally fine. But if you have any question and you would like to ask now, I'm here, ready to answer. All right, so I'm not seeing here any question. Nobody's asking, so I guess that's more than enough. It was a lot of information. I'll be sharing with you the presentation so that you can go through it little by little if you like. I'll prepare the summary as well, and I hope to see you everyone next week. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be successful in everything you do.
Sadhu, sadhu.